and in accordance with the decision taken by the General Assembly at its 83rd plenary meeting, I now call on a representative of the private sector, Mr. William Harvey Roedy, President of the MTV Networks International and Chairman of Global Media AIDS Initiative. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's very kind of you to say that. Thank you. During this high-level meeting, 43,000 more people globally have been infected. More than half of these new infections will be among young people 15 to 24, and more than half will be among women. But if they'd been chickens with bird flu, it would dominate the media, which is not meant to minimize the stopping of avian flu, but because HIV and AIDS is still considered to be a disease of the marginalized, it is treated differently. This must stop. Media has a powerful role to play in educating the world. I believe that HIV and AIDS programming needs to become part of the DNA of every media company globally, each and every day. Earlier today, a report of the Global Media AIDS Initiative was presented to Secretary General Annan. The GMAI involves 140 media companies around the world. We are adding more every single week, creating HIV and AIDS programming, challenging stigma, and committing specific airtime and inventory, again, each and every day, and showing success, showing positive stories as well. The breadth of collaboration is inspiring. In Asia, in Africa, in Russia, across all the continents, media has come together to commit literally hundreds of millions of dollars of airtime. Indeed, media can be a force for change in the world. It can save lives. But with 40 million people infected, our response has not kept pace with the disease. Our dread of HIV and AIDS is so strong. We are challenged. We are challenged by the fear of being informed, the stigma surrounding the disease, and widespread resistance to testing. That resistance is why the vast majority of infected people don't even know they are carrying the virus. Stigma prevents people getting tested and therefore getting treated. We need to encourage HIV testing. There are two ways to do this: mandatory or voluntary. Let's be clear. Mandatory testing is not an option. I believe that everyone should be tested. Everyone should be tested. But testing must be voluntary. It must be accessible. It must be confidential, and it must be supported with counseling and accompanied by access to treatment wherever possible. Testing must also be anchored in an approach which respects human rights, dignity, and privacy, especially for young girls and women. The whole fabric of testing needs to become normal and accepted by all, from healthcare workers, religious leaders, village elders, the business sector, and everyone in between. And there is no time for myth, no time for fear, and no time for prejudice. The great anthropologist Margaret Mead once said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." We, citizens of the world, sitting in this room today, have that power. We must all act, and we must all act now to defeat this disease. Thank you.
I thank the President of the MTV Networks International and Chairman of the Global Media AIDS Initiative, Mr. William Harvey Roedy, for his important statement.